Jeffrey Dahmer. A name that still sends chills through the world of true crime. This is the story of his life, his crimes, and his eventual downfall. Early years. Dahmer was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in 1960. At first, he seemed like an ordinary child, quiet, shy, even polite. But underneath, something darker was taking shape. From a young age, Jeffrey was fascinated with dead animals. He collected bones, dissected roadkill, and wondered what made living things work. As his parents' marriage fell apart, so did his sense of normalcy. By high school, he was already struggling with alcohol and isolation. First murder in 1978, at just 18 years old, Dahmer committed his first murder. He picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks, invited him home for drinks, and when Hicks wanted to leave, Jeffrey panicked. He struck him with a dumbbell, strangled him, and later dismembered the body. It would be nearly a decade before he killed again, but the darkness was already planted. The escalation. Dahmer tried to live a normal life. He went to college, enlisted in the army, worked odd jobs. But his drinking and violent urges never let go. In 1987, he killed again. From then on, the murders came more frequently. He lured young men, often gay men of color, back to his apartment. He drugged them, strangled them, and then desecrated their bodies. Some victims were dismembered, some were cannibalized, and some were kept, parts of them preserved in jars, freezers, or even dissolved in acid. The apartment of horrors. Neighbors at the Oxford Apartments often complained about the smell coming from Dahmer's unit. He brushed them off, saying it was spoiled meat or tropical fish. In reality, his apartment had become a chamber of horrors. In May of 1991, a boy named Kenaric Synthasymphone actually escaped. Neighbors called police. But Dahmer convinced them it was a misunderstanding, a lover's quarrel. The officers left the boy with him. Kenaric was murdered soon after. The capture. Dahmer's killing spree finally ended on July 22, 1991. That night, he approached 3 men, offering money for nude photos. One of them, Tracy Edwards, agreed. Inside Dahmer's apartment, Edwards noticed the smell. He saw knives on the floor. And when Dahmer tried to handcuff him, he fought back and escaped. Edwards flagged down police, led them back to the apartment. And what they found was beyond comprehension. Polaroid photos of dismembered bodies. Human remains in the refrigerator and freezer. Skulls and bones, scattered throughout the apartment. The trial and prison. Jeffrey Dahmer confessed almost immediately. At his 1992 trial, his lawyers argued he was insane. But the jury declared him legally sane. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences. In prison, Dahmer lived quietly, sometimes studying the Bible, sometimes mocked by other inmates. But his life ended violently on November 28, 1994. He was beaten to death by a fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver. Legacy. Today, Jeffrey Dahmer remains one of the most infamous serial killers in history. Not only because of the brutality of his crimes, but because of how long he was able to go unnoticed. Behind the door of an ordinary apartment, in an ordinary city, lurked horrors the world will never forget.